Hey there YouTubers, it's Christina Cabrera again, and I am here filming my second cooking demonstration. And I'm gonna try to slow it down a little bit this time. My first one, I was kind of all over the place, so hopefully you're able to follow me. If not, just comment below, let me know what I need to change, what you want me to slow down on, what you want me to teach you again, and we'll learn together. This is all new to me. So first today, we're gonna do a traditional meal in my home growing up. It is gonna be Arroz Con Gandules, which is a chicken, peas, and red rice with a Puerto Rican pork, my way. There's a million ways to do it. This is how I do it. And then I'm gonna just put a simple pot of beans on. So I'm gonna do one step at a time. I'm gonna start with the pork first, and then after we do the pork, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the beans and to the rice, and we'll do the pork first because the pork's gonna take us 2 hours and everything else will be done within the hour. So let's get started. I gotta wash my hands and get my apron, and let's do it, guys. All right, guys, so first we're gonna make our rub for our pork roast, and before we slice our garlic, we're gonna go ahead and slice our garlic, stuff our pork with it. Make sure you preheat your oven to 300 degrees. I already did so, and we're going to first stuff our pork with garlic, make our rub, throw it in at 300 degrees, uncovered. Then we're gonna throw our recadito over it. Some people call it sofrito. I call it recadito. It's just what it's been called in my home forever. I'm Puerto Rican American. My father's full-blooded Puerto Rican. My mom is white, so everybody does things different. My recadito has cilantro, which is our main dish in there, bell pepper, which is a staple in Puerto Rico, garlic and onion blended together, and it's just the perfect seasoning without the salt. I don't add any oil, I don't add any lemon, I don't add anything else, and that's gonna go in pretty much everything. I'll make that a whole nother day because it's so simple, guys. All you gotta do is blend those ingredients that I just did, and there you go. So first, we're gonna start with our salt. I already put some in my hand here. It's like, I don't know, not a full tablespoon at all. And then we're just gonna put it in there, but it's not a teaspoon either. Teaspoons don't go anywhere. Don't be afraid of seasoning, you guys. So we got a little bit of salt. We're gonna about put the same amount of pepper in there. You can see I have giant seasonings because I cook so often that it would just not do me good to buy little tiny bottles. Then we're gonna just put in, yes, a little bit of granulated garlic. You'll learn that I cook with a lot of garlic, and yet it's not overpowering. We're still gonna stuff it with some real garlic as well. Now we got our cumin, our comida. All right, after the cumin, we're gonna go ahead and put our coriander in there. Also, just like a tiny little palmful. It's not quite a tablespoon, it's way more than a teaspoon. And now we'll go with our fresh herbs. I always use thyme. You know, this is not something my father ever did, but I do. You gotta rub your thyme together, all your herbs, wake it up a bit. My dad always puts in oregano. Like I said, I added the thyme. I love the freshness of it. So make sure you mix it up, get it working, get it going. Don't forget your smoked paprika. It makes a huge difference whether it's smoked or not. Once you go smoked, you'll never go back. But be very sparing with it because trust me, you'll be able to tell if you put too much smoked paprika in. Not sure about regular paprika, but smoked paprika, you'll get way overpowered. So let's go ahead and slice our garlic now, and then we'll stuff our pork. All right, so I'm gonna put our beautiful seasoning aside. You can look at it and see how gorgeous it is. It's just got, I'll go ahead and reiterate it. We've got some thyme, some oregano, some smoked paprika, coriander, cumin, some regular old kosher salt, and some pepper. That is all she wrote. So now we're gonna go ahead and stuff our pork loin with some garlic. And all you're gonna do here is smash a clove together, and you're not even gonna use all this, but I'm gonna use all of it further on in my cooking with the beans that I make, so I'm just gonna go ahead and peel it all right now. But for the pork roast, trust me, you think you need more than you do. Now that we've got our garlic peeled, and we're just gonna do it into little slices, right? Don't worry about them being too thin, too thick, because you're not gonna have that huge garlic bite as one would think, because nobody wants a huge mouthful of garlic, but we are going to stuff the pork with the garlic. And it's super simple. Everybody probably already knows this, but in case you don't, I'm gonna show you. I take my little knife here and I just make some slits in it all over. Remember, I've already washed my hands. People, wash, wash, wash. It's very important. And we're just gonna take these little slices of garlic and we are just gonna put them straight in there. Yes, we are. Trust me, it's gonna do amazing things. You know, salt and all the seasonings are good, but like I've said before, that food is definitely about flavoring and cooking the right way to get the flavor of the food to come forth. Do a couple more slits in there, and I'm gonna turn it over, then rub it down. And sometimes I would make like one giant one because I'm gonna turn these into tacos later, but I don't really have the time to cook them right now because I have a starving family and I just need it to be done. So I don't have 4 hours to cook a giant roast. I'm only gonna cut it in half to about 2. Just get it in there anywhere you can. All right, couple more garlics in there. Couple more. Stuff it, stuff it, stuff it. Oops. Okay, so now we're gonna take our rub and we're gonna just rub it all over. And I'm showing you guys on this this cookie sheet here just so you could see exactly what I'm doing. But I'm gonna actually put it into a little roasting pan because we want it to sit in its juices. And what goes good with pork is my IPA that I'm drinking over here. It's my mom juice, and half of it goes in the pork, and we want the pork juices and the ricayito juices, and we want the beer all to come together beautifully, and it's gonna be a perfect, I don't know, either a main to our rice and beans or a side to the rice because the rice is basically a meal. So you gotta stay tuned for that. We just got our pork roast done. I'm gonna go ahead and pour some beer over it. I'll let you see that in just a second. I'm gonna wash up and we'll get it all done. All right, guys, so, got it. So first, we got an IPA here and we're just gonna start pouring it, and I use about half of it. So you can see there's about half of my beer in there. I'm gonna drink the other half, and then I'm gonna take and I'm gonna put just about, I don't know, a cup of water in here, just because we do not want our pork to dry out. So I'm gonna mix a little bit of water with our beer. It's gonna be wonderful. So needs a little more beer. So at least a half a cup. You're gonna be like this. It comes maybe, I don't know, halfway up the pork, maybe a quarter inch or so. And then we're gonna put it in the oven, 300 degrees for 1 hour, uncovered first. And then when it comes out, or after sorry guys. So after it's in there for 1 hour at 300 degrees, we're gonna go ahead and put my ricayito over it. We're gonna smear it all over there. We're gonna cover it tightly. Then we're gonna cook it for another 45 minutes to an hour. We're gonna check it, make sure it's tender, fork tender, and then we're gonna add it on the side of our rice and beans. So hopefully you guys got all that. Like I said, comment below, let me know what I need to work on, and I will, so that way we can learn together. All right, so here we go to make our pot of beans to go with our pork roast that's in the oven. And our pork roast today, we're just gonna eat it alongside our beans and rice, but tomorrow we're gonna turn it into the best tacos you've ever had in your life. So stay tuned for tomorrow as well. Today, we'll finish with today's meal. I just washed off about a pound of beans right here. You don't have to soak them overnight. Just make sure that they're washed completely because beans get really, really dirty. And if you don't wash them, then they're your water's gonna be all mucky and stuff. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add this to my pot. I don't fill it with water until I add my ham hock in it. I never make beans without a ham hock and then an entire onion. And I'm also going to add in my sofrito that some people call, but we call it ricayito. I'm just saying sofrito because that's what most people are used to. We call it ricayito, same thing. Anyhow, and I always put extra garlic in it. We're gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna bring my pot over here and I'm going to fill it up. I always fill it up with some warm water just because it comes to a boil quicker. Sometimes hot water just to get it going faster. And I'm barely gonna fill it to, I don't know, maybe an inch over the beans. Just maybe an inch over the beans. And I'm gonna put it on the stove. I'm gonna wash my hands. Wash your hands, people, all the time. I try to wash my hands a few times throughout the cooking meal, not just at the start. So, not just a rinse, soap too, people. All right, so now I've got my, some garlic in there. I've got my ham hock in there. I'm using the pinto beans. You can use whatever kind of beans you want. You can use a black bean, a red bean. I use pinto beans because that's what I grew up on, and we always had pot of pinto beans on the stove. So now I'm gonna go ahead and take my recadito. Remember, it is a very simple cilantro, onion, garlic, bell pepper, no salt, no oil, no lemon, just straight mixture of flavor. So I'm gonna take about, I don't know, 2 tablespoons at least, add it to my beans. Look how bright and beautiful that is. Isn't that beautiful? Make this in large batches, people, because you're gonna want to use this all the time. I make my chicken stock, my recadito, my pestos. I always make it in large batches and freeze it so you can just go to it. Busy moms are trying to get dinner on the table as fast as we can, as good as we can, and as healthy as we can. My kids eat everything. So I'm gonna bring this to a boil, then we're gonna bring it down to a simmer, and voila, there you go, people. I'll show you when it's all done. It's gonna be beautiful, it's gonna be flavorful, and one more thing, man, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, but I'm telling you, the garlic and the recadito, it does all of the work for you. Oh, one thing, how could I forget? I never forget my sazon, all right? It's the achote and cilantro, and it is beautiful, wonderful, and don't forget it. It brings beautiful color to all your meals, and it's gonna be one of those things that people are gonna be like, what is that? And it's not salt, it's flavored. So don't forget recadito, sazon, your garlic, your onion, your ham hocks, very important. We need that bone marrow to flavor the beans. We're gonna go ahead and bring it to a boil, then to a simmer for about an hour, and it'll be done. It's gonna be the perfect complementary side to our Arroz Con Gandules and our pork that's in the oven. Before we start our rice, I just want you to look at the beautiful color in these beans. You got our green, you got our red. I added a little bit of salt, I added a little bit of pepper. The recaditos where our flavor's at, and that ham hock. So there's our beans. I'm gonna cover and simmer, and they'll be back to us in a moment. All right, guys, so we are about to start our rice now to go along with our pork roast and our pot of beans, and I'm just gonna show you a little bit what's inside of our Arroz Con Gandules, and basically it is a red rice with peas, and it's actually a pigeon pea from Puerto Rico or any place that's hot and tropical, but not from Portland, Oregon. So I get them out of a can. We're gonna use these. We're gonna put in some more bell pepper, a little bit of tomato sauce, Venus sausages. I know they sound weird, but it's how my daddy does it. It's how my grandmother does it, and that's how I do it. Cannot forget our green olives. I actually hate green olives, but without them, it's not the same. So you must add green olives. If you think you don't like them, you probably don't, because I don't, but add them. Something about the juice that makes it all go together. And then we cannot forget our sazon. I use 2 packets. It's actually the achote and the coriander. So I'm not gonna add any extra coriander. I'm just gonna add some cumin, some black pepper. This is my homemade chicken stock. In another video, I'm gonna go ahead and show you how I do my homemade chicken stock. I make an abundance of it, I freeze it, so I always have it on hand. You should too, but if you have to, for some reason, use a store-bought, just grab some chicken bouillon and add it to the box stock to give you a little bit of flavor. So here's our ingredients, and then this is our secret ingredients, which is the recadito. I'm gonna go ahead and cook our bacon, and then once our bacon is cooked, I'm gonna add our rice in. I'm gonna saute the recadito in with our rice and just toast it a little bit before I add our tomato sauce, our chicken stock, and then bring it to a boil. So here we go. We're gonna go ahead and do our bacon first, and then it's all gonna come together. You'll see, it's wonderful. All right, so we're gonna drop our bacon down. We're not gonna drain our bacon grease when we're done, guys. We are gonna actually use that grease to toast our rice, and I know it seems like a lot of fat, but it's where the flavor is at. So we'll make this. I'll go ahead and get everything else prepped, and we'll get started on it. Alright guys, so I got our bacon going for our rice, and I'm checking out our beans right now. I brought them to a boil, but if you take a look at them, they need a little more water. So I'm going to just go ahead and add a little more water to these, and we should be all set. Remember, all that is onion, garlic, recadito, a little bit of cumin, and my ham hock, and these simply the best beans. Basically, you just want to go ahead and just recover the beans again. You don't want too much water, but you don't want not enough water because we don't want any dry beans. So just fill it back up with whenever the water starts to disintegrate, and then that way they'll be nice and juicy. But we don't want soup, people. We want beans. So here we go. It should look a little bit like that. And if you can't find a ham hock this big, definitely put 2 in. I had 3 of these gigantic ones, and I'm making a very small pot of beans, so I only needed 1. The skin, the bone, it'll give much flavor. Okay, so to start off with our rice, we got our bacon going, and we've got to get the tomatoes in next. We're gonna go ahead and just slice them like that in between the middle, and we're gonna broil them for about 10 minutes. And these are gonna add some amazing flavor to your rice. I'm telling you, sometimes I just use a can of stewed tomatoes, so if you don't have any fresh Roma tomatoes on hand, which Roma's the best, it's the sweetest, it goes the best in the rice, so I found. Anyhow, so if you go ahead and don't have Roma tomatoes and you can't broil them like this, just use a can of stewed tomatoes. Cooking's very versatile, and you can really substitute things. You don't have to go all in one. But for the tomatoes, we're gonna do something similar to the cherry tomatoes I did before, and we're just gonna drizzle them with some olive oil. I got my broiler on high right now. We're going to just go ahead and add a little bit of salt. And we're building our salt profile in every single thing we do. So you don't add all the salt at one time. You have to build it so that you don't get like a huge salt at one time, or so it's not bland, you know. Can't stand bland food, but I can't stand over salty food. So here we're gonna go ahead and just drizzle our tomatoes with a little bit of oregano, a little bit of olive oil. And these are gonna be a little bit of a star in the rice. Got our thyme. I always use thyme and oregano. I just love thyme and oregano. I use a lot of rosemary when I'm doing some like Italian cooking, but I always use thyme and oregano whenever I'm doing my Puerto Rican cooking. So I got my salt, I've got my herbs. I'm gonna do a little bit, oh, here it is, a little bit of cumin. On the tomatoes, it'll be nice and roasted. Okay, so I got my broiler on high right now. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw in the broiler oven for about 10 minutes. By the time that the tomatoes are done, my bacon should be done cooking. I'm gonna remove the bacon from the pan. I'm gonna add a little bit of onion. I'm gonna add a little bit of red bell pepper. I'm gonna saute that in my recadito, which I'll show you how to make on another video. But all this is my blended onion, garlic, cilantro, and bell pepper, nothing else, and it's amazing. So don't buy it, people. Just make it and freeze it. I promise that it's not the same as when you buy it. So we're gonna go ahead and put those right in there to broil. I'm gonna set the timer for 10 minutes. I'm gonna stir my bacon. Oh, You gotta see this bacon. It's looking good. You gotta see this. So look at this bacon, how beautiful. It's crisping up. We're actually gonna remove the bacon from the pan and we're gonna keep all that oil in there. I know it seems like a lot, but it's a lot of flavor and it's really yummy. That's how my mommy did it, that's how my papi did it, and that's how my grandmother did it. So that's how I'm gonna do it. We're gonna cook the raicayito out with the rice and the bell pepper and onion, and then we'll add our chicken stock and everything else, and it'll come together great. So stay tuned. Okay guys, so here, let me have you take a look at our beans. We got them at a nice little simmer. I've taken our bacon out already for our rice, and we're going to drain a little bit of the bacon. It's a little much, but usually I wouldn't, but it's a lot, so I'm gonna save our hearts right now. But for the pork roast I just raised to 350. We've had it on for an hour at 300, uncovered. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of raicayito over this pork roast. Look how beautiful that is. It's still got plenty of liquid. And we're gonna just take this right here and we're just gonna put it right on top. All this is garlic, onion, cilantro, and bell pepper. So we're just gonna put it on there like this. It's gonna flavor the juice. It's gonna flavor the pork. Remember, we stuffed it with some garlic, so I would say about 2 heaping tablespoons on top of that. Just gonna leave it like that. I'm gonna cover it and with some foil to make sure it's nice and tight. And then we're gonna put it back in for an hour and it should fall apart. Oof. Hot. Crimp those sides, cover it, lower it, higher it, and we're gonna go for about another 45 minutes. Check in 45 minutes. If it tears apart perfectly, you're done. If not, leave it about 15 more minutes. We're gonna start our rice. You saw our beans, and it's all gonna be beautiful. So here we go. So now we're gonna get our tomatoes out for our rice. They have been on broil for 10 minutes and they actually came out perfect. I'm gonna put them right there. Come take a look at these. You see how the skin is just barely coming off them? You know, they're just barely nice and tender, yet soft, not too mushy. We're gonna take those and we're gonna add those into our rice, but we're gonna just set them here aside for a second on top of this little towel right here. And I removed a little bit of bacon grease from the pan, and we're just gonna go ahead and add a little bit of red bell pepper, a little bit of onion, and right into here, into our bacon grease. I probably removed at least a half a cup of bacon grease so it wasn't too oily, but you use your best judgment. If you think that your bacon didn't produce enough oil, then leave it all in. If you thought it was too much oil, take some out. I'm gonna use the same oil to saute our vegetables in and saute our rice in, because in Puerto Rican cooking, bacon grease is the key to everything. We do our pork chops in them, we do our steaks in them, our rice is in them, so everybody loves bacon, right? So let's do it. So we're just gonna saute these really quick and get all that bacon grease in those bell peppers and onions. We're barely gonna soften them before I add some rice and then the raicayito. And then we're gonna cook out the raicayito a little bit, toast the rice a bit with the raicayito, add everything else in. It's gonna all be wonderful. You'll never have a rice like this. Everyone makes it different, so check other people's recipes out and know that there's a million different ways to do it. So this is my way, this is the way I was taught, and I think you'll like it. Take a look, our vegetables are just sauteed to a little bit of tenderness. I'm gonna go ahead and add our rice right now, and then I'm gonna add our raicayito. And the bacon and everything. I just like to add it all together first, make a beautiful sauce. Toast up our rice a bit. I'm gonna add my raicayito directly to the pan. And I probably put more in than most, at least at least 3 tablespoons to 4 tablespoons. I mean, I'm trying to taste it. I want to know all that yumminess is in there. We're gonna saute it with our rice a bit. We got our bacon grease in there. See, I can just tell I want a little more recadito, and it won't be too much, people, promise. So maybe 4 to 5 tablespoons at least. There's 2 cups of rice in there, an entire bell pepper, an entire onion. Let's just saute it for a second. Okay, as this is sauteing, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my tomatoes. I think they've cooled enough to crumble inside of there. My rice has been toasting, the recadito has been toasting, our vegetables, our bell peppers and onions are just tender enough where they're not overcooked. And here is our tomatoes, and I just washed my hands, so don't be wary of it. And I'm just gonna grab a tomato at a time, and they just go directly in there. Yes, they do. Yes, I'm using my hands. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna put them all in and mash them all up. So we're just gonna mash these right in the pan with everything else, and it's gonna be amazing. Don't worry about that crisp on the bottom. We like it. We want that flavor. Turn your pan down just a little. All right, we're gonna pour our tomato sauce in. We've got about 8 ounces there. We've got 2 cups of my homemade chicken stock. We're not gonna add any salt to this because I have so much salt inside of my chicken stock, and I put salt on the tomatoes, and you just build your salt. You don't have to worry about adding too much salt at one time. So we're gonna throw our gandules in. I'm gonna grab our Vienna sausages. We're gonna grab our bacon, and if you had bacon fat but you just wanted to use pork, you could use pork instead. Today I'm using bacon. If you have some cured ham, if you whatever you have on hand, just go ahead and use. You don't have to do the same exact thing that other people do. You can do anything you want and it'll come out great. If you're looking for pork, any kind of pork will do. But I like the bacon because it gives a nice crispy, yummy little flavor. Look at that, how gorgeous it is. Now I always use 2 packs of sazon, and that's because I did 2 cups of rice, so I'm guessing, you know, at least 6 to 8 servings this will do. I make extra because my family loves to eat it the next day. It's amazing. So we got our sazon in there, we got our recadito in there. The chicken stock has a ton of salt in it already, so you're not gonna need to add salt at all. The bacon has salt into it. Like I said, if you don't have homemade chicken stock, just go ahead and add a couple tablespoons of your chicken bouillon or chicken base with a little bit of water. You could add that to your water that you put in instead of your chicken stock. So you don't have to do it exact, but take a look how beautiful that is. Our tomatoes that have been broiled are gonna bring some amazing flavor to the table. And then we have our gandules that are gonna absolutely be perfect. We're gonna bring this to a boil. Once we bring it to a boil, I'm gonna cover it and take it down to a simmer. Now, I know with most rices and white rices, you're gonna wanna leave it alone. You're not gonna wanna touch it because you want it to be cooked perfectly. With this rice, we're gonna need to stir it. We're gonna have to, I would say, give it 15 minutes, give it a stir, give it another 15 minutes, and then see what you think. So let's go there for now. Again, look how gorgeous this is. Isn't that beautiful? Remember, the secret is recadito and the sazon. That makes it. And you cannot forget the gandules, of course. Hey guys, so let me turn that fan off real quick. We're gonna go ahead and stir our rice. It's been about, I don't know, 15 minutes. And I know white rice you're not gonna stir, you're gonna leave alone, but this rice, it is full. Look at those yummy goodness in there. We've got our broiled tomatoes, we've got our cayito, we've got our gandules, our green olives, all that yummy goodness. We give it a good stir. I'm gonna cover it back up again, and we're gonna leave it for about another 10 minutes. Don't worry about that crispiness on the bottom, because in Puerto Rico, that's what we want. We like that. So we're gonna go ahead and let it crisp a little bit on the bottom. We're gonna make that rice nice and tender. It smells amazing. I wish you could smell it. Let's look at the beans right now while we are here. The beans are beautiful. Remember, I had to add a little bit more beans just to cover it. So if your beans start to get dry and they're not fully covered with water, just go ahead and add a little bit more. Remember, the only thing in this is we got onion, garlic, our recayito, our ham hock, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and a little bit of cumin, and that's all she wrote, fellas. Now, our pork rice is still in the oven, so we got our rice is almost done. We're timing it for another 10 minutes. It's been cooking for about 15. You saw our beans, how beautiful they were coming to a boil. Our pork is gonna be done in about 15 or 20 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and check it, and then we're just gonna plate it. It's all gonna be put together, and you're gonna love it. We got a pot of beans, arroz con gandules, and a picnic pork in the oven. So stay tuned, guys. Okay, guys, so our arroz con gandules are done, and look at that. Scrape the bottom. It's okay if you get some crust on there, because us Puerto Ricanas love that. Look how beautiful that is. We got our roasted tomato, we got our olives, we got our gandules, we got our onions, our garlic, our recayito. It's amazing. Our pork is almost done. You can probably hear my babies in the background, which is all right, because we're all moms here. And the goal is to get good, healthy food on the table in a matter of time that is good, that is wholesome, that we created, that we have no extra additives to it. So we got our beans here. They are done. Look at those beauties right there. We got our ham hock. It's lovely. And we're about to take out our pork roast. So I'm gonna go ahead and take our pork roast out. I'll let you guys know if it's tender, perfect, and then we are going to plate it all, put it together. You'll see it all come together as one. And remember, tomorrow we're turning our pork leftovers into tacos. So let's keep it together, y'all. You're gonna love it. I've just removed the pork from our beautiful pan here. It's super hot. Look at all that yummy goodness. I'm actually just gonna like rough chop this, and I'm gonna put it into a bowl, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add all that juice to it, and then we're gonna add it with our rice and our beans, and I'll plate it for you guys, and it's gonna be great, and it's so tasty. You guys have no idea. Look at that beautiful pork, roughly chopped. And remember, we are going to be using this leftover pork tomorrow for the most amazing tacos that you have ever seen. So we'll just rough chop this. Everybody gets a little on the plate, and then tomorrow we will make it into our tacos. So put that down. I'm just gonna chop it like this. Today we want chunks, tomorrow we want tacos. The key to cooking is to use everything you have, and not only use everything you have, but to also make leftovers into not so leftover. My family will not eat leftovers, so I have to make whatever I make into something else tomorrow so that they don't know it's leftovers. So follow me, we'll do it together. I'll show you guys how to make food into brand new food. And today we've got a yummy pork roast with arroz con gandules, which is a red rice and pigeon peas with a pot of beans. I'm gonna go ahead and plate it. I'm gonna show you. You're gonna love it. And then tomorrow we're gonna turn this pork into tacos. So I hope you guys liked it. Let me know what we need to change about it, and let me show you the plated in just a moment. Hold on. Okay guys, so here we've got our pot of beans, arroz con gandules, which is a red rice with pigeon peas. And then I have my I call it a Puerto Rican pork roast. You know, it's a picnic roast with my special seasoning, and then just a pot of beans that are amazing. It's beautiful, it's yummy, it's wholesome, and I promise you won't have any flavors like that. But I am going to take this leftover juice right here. I'm gonna pour it into all of our pork left over. I'm gonna leave all that yummy goodness right here together, and I'm gonna marinate it overnight, and then we're gonna chop this and make some tacos out of it tomorrow night. So trust me when I say that you wanna follow me, because you're gonna wanna know what I do with this pork next, because it's gonna be amazing. And like I said before, my family does not eat leftovers. So if your family is anything like my family, they're spoiled rotten, and I have to make something new and fresh every day. But today, if you go back, I did Arroz Con Gandules, and I did a pot of beans with a picnic pork roast, and you're gonna love it. So follow me, let me know what you think, comment below, tell me what I need to slow down on, what you wanna know, what I did too fast that you didn't catch, and let me know what you wanna make. Let's make it together, because trust me, if I haven't made it, I will make it amazing. So it's all about your ingredients. It's all about your technique, and I want to help you learn. You tell me what to do, and we'll do it together. All right, guys. See you later, and have a great night.